Today's an exciting day. Today I get to share with you guys the winch that I selected for my pilot. As many of you know, we're heading up to Uwharrie National Park this weekend, and there is a good chance that I'm going to need a winch. I've selected the Axon 55S. It's a synthetic lined winch rated to 5,500 pounds of pull capacity. It holds 50 feet of 1/4 inch winch line, synthetic winch line. And I plan on running it with this snatch ring right here to double the capacity to 11,000 pounds. That pull rating should be able to handle the pilot. There are some downsides to the winch that I've selected, and I actually was having a really hard time picking which winch I should put on my pilot. I wanted to do a hitch mounted winch. That way I can run it in the front or the rear, or I can remove it when it's not in use. And because of that, I wanted to make sure that my winch was fairly portable and didn't take up a lot of room. And basically I went around to the different four-wheel drive shops around here and I held different winches, and the two that caught my eye were this Axon 55S and the Warn Evo 8S. They both cost about the same. The Axon is actually a little bit more expensive, but the Evo 8S weighed 67 pounds by itself, and once you add the hitch mount to it, it gets closer to 80 pounds. This Axon winch weighs 21 pounds, and the hitch receiver or hitch adapter is a little bit smaller because the winch is smaller. So the total package comes out to be about 30 pounds, which is very easy to manage. And on my pilot, my front end clearance, the front end won't be weighted down by the 30-pound winch like it would with the 80-pound winch, especially when I'm going over bumps like we did just recently in Florida. I actually bottomed out my shocks a couple of times on that trip without the winch on the front. I could only imagine if I threw another 80 pounds on the front what that would do. So I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to actually off-road with this winch on the front. I definitely could off-road with it on the back if I wanted to. In a moment, we'll go ahead and show you the winch on the vehicle. It looks sweet. It's a little bit on the small side, but that's okay. But first I want to go over what you would need to buy if you want to have a similar setup to me. One of the really cool things about a hitch mounted winch is that it can be mounted on any vehicle that has hitch receivers. So let me go over what I had to purchase to make this happen. I'm not going to go into details on the wiring because I haven't actually figured that out quite yet. I could run it just with what's supplied. It's just not going to be beautiful because the harness that it comes with is actually made for an ATV or a UTV or a side-by-side. It's not made for an SUV, which is okay. I can modify it. Basically, what I had to buy was the hitch mount right here. I went with the KFI 2-inch hitch mount. It was the only one on the market that advertised that it was strong enough for the Axon winch, because the winch can pull 5,500 pounds and it's the smaller bolt pattern style winch. There's a lot of ATV type hitch mounts out there that just would not fit this winch. They'd be too weak. Another thing to take note is that this hole that's closest to the winch here is for an ATV type hitch receiver, and this farther hole is for a truck size hitch receiver. On my pilot, I need this back hole. A lot of the ATV hitch mounts won't work with a full size vehicle, so that's something to pay attention to. Another thing I had to buy was this Fairlead adapter plate. It's the Warn 69646 plate. It is actually pretty important to mount it onto this KFI hitch mount because the clearance is very tight on this end where the winch kind of overhangs. It kind of interferes with the handle here a little bit. With this plate, it does give you just enough clearance to get it on there without any modification or anything like that. Another thing I purchased was this rubber winch stop right here. That was just a pro tip online, just to keep this metal from your hook from going into your Fairlead here. Quick note, what came in the box: all the wiring to hook it up to a side-by-side or a UTV came in the box. The bolts to mount the fair lead and the winch to the adapter plate also came in the box. That was kind of hard information to find. Came with instructions. It came with a remote. I'd like to also note that the line for the remote is, I think, on the short side. If I was going to run it from the front of my vehicle through my window, it would be a little short. Thankfully, once you plug this harness in to the winch, if I take the harness and kind of put it towards my window, I'll have plenty of reach. I'm going to have to modify this harness to work with my vehicle. I'll make a video on that once I do it. For this upcoming trip, I'm just going to mount it, you know, quick and easy, and just get it working. It came with a switch for the dash that can power the winch. Unfortunately, in a car, you would have a heck of a time passing the different mounting pieces through the firewall. It'd be very challenging. Again, I might be able to make it happen. I would just need to splice some wiring. The way I envision using this winch, like I said, is with the snatch ring back here. The snatch ring was $30 on Amazon, and the soft shackles here are about $35 for two. I was able to buy this winch extension rope, which is 3/8 inch rope, which is very important because when I do a snatch ring set up here, my 1/4 inch rope will be doubled. Its pulling capacity will be doubled. So you need to have a single line rope that can take the weight of the whole setup. I plan on doing snatch ring to the extension and go from the extension to the tree, and then running from the winch through the snatch ring. That's what I'm envisioning. I'll of course have to do some videos testing it. I'm new to winching, so that's gonna be fun. Probably a bit of a learning experience there. Let's get this thing on the car and we'll take a look at the clearance angles and just kind of see what we think about it. I guess before I put it on there, here's the size for comparison. It definitely feels hefty. It's not, you know, unmanageable, but definitely hefty. It is waterproof, which is awesome. That was something I was looking for, because on the front here, it's gonna definitely get wet. And I love the look of it. I'm still deciding whether I'm gonna keep my front ditch lights on there or not, because it kind of interferes with the look of them, but the clearance angles I don't think are impacted by this winch at all. And it fits in nice and tight. I'm really excited about how it looks, actually. It's exactly what I wanted. Nice and tight, sleek. I'm gonna come up with some ideas for anti-theft. The hitch pin is inside the bumper, so if I just use a bolt, that would be pretty hard to get out. And then the nuts, or the bolts that hold on the winch itself, I've looked up online. A lot of people take a piece of metal plate and bend it and then weld it over one of the bolts. That way they can't get the last bolt without cutting, which, you know, would add a lot to the endeavor. Now, one thing that I'm excited about with this setup too is when I do my snatch ring, when I go out from the winch, I'm planning on coming back, and instead of hooking it to the winch plate, which I was thinking about either making a way to hook here or somewhere else, what I'm gonna do instead is actually come down, and I might try this hook right here, but I've got a special rope that I've made to lasso around the frame right here. So with that, I'm gonna be spreading the weight from my front hitch receiver down to the subframe, and that will help even the load on the car and reduce the stress on the frame. You guys should go back and watch my custom front hitch receiver project if you haven't seen it. Needless to say, I'm a little stressed. It would be a interesting video if I'm filming and we're recovering myself and my front hitch receiver just shoots off the front end and the bumper cover flies off. That'll be a heck of a video. Probably go viral in the off-road community. People laughing at me, but hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, I really like the look of it. I'm super stoked. It was pretty expensive. It was like $750 before tax for just the winch. The winch mount, I believe, was $60. Little stopper was $10. I already went over my rope and my shackles and my hitch ring. I did put all of the pieces that I used to build this, the winch extension, the snatch ring, soft shackles. I've got all of that in my Amazon store. It's linked to this video. If you guys use that Amazon store and just save it as your like default gateway into Amazon, I believe anything you purchase from Amazon by entering through that link, I think gives me some proceeds. The store has tons of gear that I use. It's got tons of tools that I use, different build projects. It's basically just a really cool place for a Honda Pilot owner to go and take a look and see if there's anything useful there for you. And it gives me a little bit of kickback, so that's always awesome. Let's move the winch to the back and take a look at what it looks like there. Now on the back, I was a little bit worried about the clearance for the plug and the wiring. It's definitely tight, but it does clear. I could put the hitch pin in right here, but it looks really cool. Now in the back, when I do my snatch ring setup, I'm gonna grab my rope lasso real quick. It's an invention of my own design. So it's basically a short piece of my 3/8 winch line, and I just put a loop at both ends. It's spliced in right here. I covered it up so you can't see it, but it is spliced in, and I can feel right now that it's actually gonna be really easy to do what I was planning on doing here, which is just going around my bar to my hitch, and that'll give me another place to do my snatch ring to. I think that's gonna work just fine. We'll see in practice though. Now to run the power to the rear, what I'm planning on doing for this trip is just picking up a long set of jumper cables, and I'll just have the cables kind of run into there. I'll run them through the window. It's not gonna be super professional, but it'll get the job done. And then another thing I bought to make this easier, which I don't have quite yet, is an adapter to make this Bluetooth capable. So I can actually control the winch on my phone. It'll also let me see the load indication of whether I'm maxing it out or like where it's at heat-wise. And it should add a lot of capability, and it should make this a lot safer to use for me. That was $100 additional as well. It's also linked in my store, and we'll have to see how it all works out. I was pretty impressed with the clearance angle here. I don't have the winch powered up yet, but once that's sucked up in there, it's really, you know, pretty high up there. It wouldn't be the most ideal to wheel with it right there, but it's not the worst either. I mean, it's not hanging down too bad at all. And again, I love the look of it. Hopefully it's very small but mighty. All right, well, that's just my quick video there introducing my winch. Be sure to tell me below if I'm crazy, if that thing's not gonna be up to the task. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I think that this setup really would be good for a lot of the soft roader community. Anywhere where you've got a hitch receiver, even if you only have it in the back, it's still better to have a winch with you, and this thing only weighs 30 pounds. So be sure to check out my store and consider donating on Patreon if you like seeing what I do. It definitely costs me some money to sit here and drive my vehicle like I do. But I really appreciate your guys' support and seeing the channel grow like it has. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Going to Uwharrie tomorrow, so stay tuned.